Welcome to the deep dive. Imagine a place, just incredible landscapes, ancient cultures thriving way up high, you know? We're
Mhm.
talking 3,000 to 5,500 meters, a cold desert.
Today, we're journeying into Ladakh, India's fascinating land of high passes. Our mission today is really to unpack how this remote, beautiful region became such a geopolitical hotspot, and also a challenge for development that's still this haven for unique ways of life. We want to give you the complete picture, the stuff beyond the headlines. We've pulled together a pretty comprehensive profile, and the idea is to distill the key insights, give you a shortcut to really grasping what makes Ladakh tick.
And, right off the bat, one of the most striking things isn't just the beauty, it's the scale. It is actually the largest union territory in India by area. We're talking around 59,146 square kilometers.
Yeah.
Huge.
Oh.
But, and this is the kicker, it's one of the most sparsely populated areas in the whole country, only about 5 people per square kilometer.
5 people per square kilometer. That really paints a picture, doesn't it? Just
Yeah.
vast, empty spaces. Exactly. That vastness, that emptiness, it shapes everything.
Okay. So in this deep dive, we'll cover, let's see, its formation as a union territory, the unique geography, obviously, the people, the culture,
Mm.
the economy that sustains it, its really critical strategic importance, and then we'll get into the current affairs, what's happening right now. So to really understand Ladakh today, I guess we need to start with the basics, right? Its formation, that administrative status. Can you unpack that for us?
Absolutely. So Ladakh officially became a Union Territory, a UT, on October 31st, 2019. This happened when it was carved at the old state of Jammu and Kashmir. Remember the J&K Reorganization Act 2019? That's what did it. So Ladakh became separate from J&K. Both became UTs.
Right.
And the crucial thing here is that Ladakh is a UT without a legislature.
Okay, what does that mean practically?
It means it's directly governed by the center, by New Delhi. There is a lieutenant governor, the LG, appointed by the president. So unlike states with their own elected assemblies making local laws, here those big decisions mostly come from central government,
Mm-hmm.
which has big implications for local autonomy, resources, all that.
That's a really key difference, direct central rule. And I read it has this unique capital setup, too, two capital.
It does, yeah. It's quite interesting. Leh is the summer capital, and Kargil is the winter capital.
Why, too? Is it just the weather?
The weather's a huge part of it, absolutely. Makes movement really difficult in winter. But it also reflects um, the cultural and religious differences within Ladakh. You've got Leh, which is predominantly Buddhist, and then Kargil, which is predominantly Shia Muslim.
Ah,
So
yeah.
having these two administrative HQs is a way to acknowledge and practically manage the needs of both major regions, especially under that central governance model.
Makes sense. Adapting to the climate and the demographics. Speaking of climate, tell us more about the landscape itself. What are the defining features of this cold desert?
Oh, the geography is just spectacular. And it dictates everything. You've got major rivers carving through the Indus, the Zanskar, Shiok, Nubra, essential lifelines.
Right.
Then the lakes, Pangong So, obviously famous now, Somariri, Sonkar. High altitude, often salty, but vital ecosystems. And towering over it all, you have these massive mountain ranges, the Karakoram, the Zanskar Range, the Ladakh Range, parts of the main Himalayas.
So it really earns the name Land of High Passes.
Definitely. And like you said, it's a cold desert. Winters are brutal. -20, -40 Celsius isn't unusual. Summers are short, intense. And those passes, Kardingla, Zojila, Changla, Photula, they're not just scenic routes, they're lifelines, engineering feats. But they also get blocked by snow for months, cutting off whole areas. That impacts everything from supplies to, well, just daily life.
Wow. Those passes sound incredible, but also incredibly challenging. So with this central governance model, but these very distinct local realities, how does local administration actually work day to day? You mentioned Hill Council.
That's right. That's where the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Councils, the LAHDCs, come in. There's one for Leh, set up back in '95, and one for Kargil from 2003.
Okay, so what do they do?
They're really important. Even though it's a centrally governed UT, these councils handle a lot of the local governance, planning, development projects, managing local resources. They kind of bridge the gap, between the central policies coming from Delhi and the very specific, often really tough local conditions on the ground. They deal with schools, local roads, things like that.
So a sort of dual system, central oversight, but local execution by these councils. Fascinating. Okay, we've got the landscape, the administration. Let's talk about the people. Who lives in this incredible place?
Well, based on the last proper census, 2011, the population was around 2.74 lakh. That's 274,000 people. And it's pretty evenly split, actually. About 1.34 lakh in Leh District and 1.4 Zolak in Cargill.
Still tiny for such a huge area.
Exactly. That 5 people per square kilometer figure really hits home. Religiously, as we touched on, it's diverse. Tibetan Buddhism is very strong, very visible in Leh. While Shia Islam is the majority in Cargill, you also have smaller Hindu and Sikh communities there too.
And languages must be quite a mix.
It is. You'll hear Ladakhi, which is also called Boti, quite a bit. Then there's Balti, Purji, Shina, several distinct local languages. Officially, for administration and wider communication, Hindi, Urdu, and English are used.
Literacy.
Pretty decent, actually, considering the
Yeah.
remoteness, around 77%,
Yeah.
which is quite impressive.
It really is. So with that mix of people, the history, the environment, the culture must be incredibly rich. What stands out?
Oh, it's vibrant, really resilient and creative. The Buddhist influence is huge, especially in Leh. You see it in the monasteries, Hemis, Dixie, Disgusted. They're stunning. And they're not just places of worship. They're centers of culture, art, learning, community life.
Right.
Festivals are a big part of it too. The Hemis Festival, Lusar, the New Year, the Ladakh Festival. Lots of color, music, traditional mask dances.
Yeah.
Really brings communities together.
And the food. I've heard about butter tea.
Butter tea, yes, definitely an experience. But also dishes like thukpa, which is a hearty noodle soup, momos, of course, and sky, a kind of pasta stew. And apricots. Apricots are everywhere, fresh, dried, and jams, oils. They grow well there.
Apricots. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about traditional dress?
You'll see the gancha, which is this long, often colorful robe worn by men and women, and the perak, that's the amazing headgear women wear, especially in Leh, often studded with turquoise. Really distinctive. Music and dance are woven into life, too, often linked to farming cycles or religious stories.
Sounds incredible. A culture really shaped by its unique setting. So how do people make a living in this, well, pretty challenging environment? What drives the economy?
It's a real mix, heavily influenced by the climate and geography, as you'd expect. Traditional agriculture is still vital. Think barley, peas, some vegetables. But it's amazing how they do it. Really ingenious irrigation using glacial meltwater developed over centuries. Hardy crops.
Real adaptation.
Totally. Horticulture is important too, those apricots we mentioned, plus apples, walnuts in some areas. And handicrafts are key. Pashmina wool products are famous, obviously, but also Venka paintings, those intricate Buddhist scrolls and woodwork.
And the modern economy. Tourism must be huge.
Tourism is definitely a major pillar now, yes.
Yeah.
People come for trekking, climbing, visiting the monasteries, adventure sports like rafting, and just seeing places like Pangong Lake.
Right, the landscapes.
Exactly. Government jobs are also a significant source of employment, as is the defense sector, given the strategic location.
But there must be challenges, too.
Oh, absolutely. The harsh climate limits the growing season, obviously. Connectivity, as we discussed, is a constant issue, especially in winter. And there's a heavy reliance on importing essential goods, which makes things expensive and vulnerable to disruption. It's a constant balancing act.
Okay, we've talked about the internal picture. Now let's shift focus outwards. Given its location, the strategic and security aspects must be huge. This is where it gets really interesting, isn't it?
Undeniably. Ladakh's location is strategically critical for India. It shares these long, sensitive, and disputed borders. With China to the north and east, that includes the Aksai Chin area, which China occupies but India claims.
Right.
And to the west, it borders Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, specifically the Gilgit-Baltistan region.
So it's right at the confluence of these major disputes.
Exactly. And the terrain itself, those high passes, the extreme weather, it makes military operations incredibly difficult, both for defense and offense. It creates huge logistical hurdles. This is why you see such a heavy presence of the Indian Army and the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, the ITBP, across the region.
And it's seen conflict historically.
It has. It was central to the 1962 war with China, where India lost control of Aksai Chin. Then the 1999 Kargil War involved intrusions by Pakistani forces into the Kargil district.
And more recently.
More recently, the 2020 Garwan Valley clash. Direct confrontation between Indian and Chinese soldiers along the line of actual control, the LAC. All of this just underlines its role. It's seen as a sort of gateway to Central Asia for India, and its stability is absolutely vital for national defense.
Given that intense strategic focus and the remoteness, what's the situation with infrastructure? Getting in, out, and around Ladakh must be a massive undertaking.
Connectivity is a huge challenge, but also a major focus for development. You basically got two main road links to the rest of India. There's the Leh-Manali Highway, crucial link, but it's closed for maybe 6 months a year due to snow in the high passes.
6 months. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's the Srinagar Leh Highway going via Zojila Pass. Also challenging, also prone to closures. Air travel relies heavily on the airport in Lek Kushuk Bakula Rinpoche Airport. There's an airstrip in Kargil, but operations are very limited.
Any railways?
No railways currently.
Yeah.
The terrain makes it incredibly difficult and expensive, but there's a major project planned, the Balispur Railway Line. That would be an absolute game changer if or when it happens.
A huge engineering challenge, I bet.
Massive. And digital connectivity. Still patchy. It's improving, especially with projects like FretNet trying to extend broadband, but many areas are still poorly connected.
Right. Testing the limits of infrastructure. But despite all that, clearly tourism is booming, as you mentioned. What are the big draws? What brings people there?
The range is pretty incredible. For adventure lovers, it's world-class. Trekking is huge. The Chadar Trek on the frozen Zanskar River is famous, Market Valley too. Mountaineering, rafting on the Indus or Zanskar.
Sounds intense.
It can be. Then there's religious and cultural tourism. Those monasteries, Hemis, Alki, Lamayuru, draw people from all over the world. They offer this amazing window into Tibetan Buddhism. And then just the sheer beauty. Nubra Valley with its dunes and camels, Pangong Lake changing colors, Somuri's tranquility. People come just to experience those landscapes.
And wildlife.
Yes, wildlife too.
Yeah.
One of the best places in the world to potentially spot a snow leopard. Also Tibetan antelope, Himalayan ibex, blue sheep, amazing high-altitude wildlife.
But that must bring its own pressures, right? Balancing tourism with conservation.
Absolutely. That's a major ongoing discussion. How to manage the impact of tourism on fragile ecosystems and local culture. Responsible tourism is a big focus.
Okay, let's bring it right up to date. What are the key issues, the current affairs shaping Ladakh right now, say in 2024, 2025, especially things related to its unique status?
There are several really significant things going on. Politically, a major one is the demand from many Ladakhi groups for full statehood. And alongside that, or sometimes as an alternative, is the demand for inclusion under the sixth schedule of the Constitution.
The sixth schedule. Remind us what that does.
Sure. The sixth schedule provides special protections and greater autonomy for tribal areas. It allows for autonomous district councils with powers over land, forests, local customs, certain judicial matters, things like that. The argument is that this is needed to protect Ladakh's unique tribal culture, land rights, and job opportunities for locals, especially with increased development and outside influence post-UT status.
Okay, so statehood and sixth schedule demands are key. What else?
The border situation with China remains tense. That standoff in eastern Ladakh along the LAC that started in 2020 isn't fully resolved. There's ongoing military and diplomatic engagement. So security remains a constant high-level focus. On the development side, there's a big push from the government on promoting ecotourism, trying to make it more sustainable, and also renewable energy. Ladakh has huge solar power potential, and big projects are planned or underway. All this fits into India's larger strategy for its border areas, enhancing connectivity, infrastructure, and security in these critical frontier zones.
So, after covering all this ground, what's the big takeaway? What does this all mean when we think about Ladakh?
I think it means Ladakh is this land of really incredible contrast, deep complexity. You've got these ancient cultures, incredibly resilient ways of life, bumping up against, well, 21st century geopolitics. You have this incredibly harsh, cold desert environment that somehow supports this vibrant life and is also this vital strategic frontier. We've looked at its geography, its culture, its economy, its critical strategic role, and what's happening right now. Hopefully this gives you a much richer, more nuanced understanding of this truly extraordinary place.
It definitely does. A really robust foundation. And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to ponder as we wrap up. Given everything we've discussed, its unique environmental fragility, its irreplaceable cultural heritage, and its immense strategic importance, how can Ladakh possibly balance the push for development, for better connectivity, with the absolute need to preserve that pristine environment and its distinct way of life for the future? Something to think about.